The ayes to the right, 369. The noes to the left, 126.
Wow. The whoa you heard was because this Boris Johnson victory tonight came despite around 100 of his own MPs voting against him. They acknowledge he's seriously damaged, and the rebellion wasn't just about the new COVID rules the PM is imposing on us.
We must stop all these unintentional own goals, things like the Owen Paterson affair, the parties, the decorating of flats.
The right response will be to listen to what Conservative colleagues have said and to start taking Parliament more seriously.
There is still a lot of affection for the Prime Minister and belief in the Prime Minister, but I do think he needs to heed the message today that the Conservative Party and large parts of the party are unhappy.
How long has he got to see off the threat of a leadership challenge?
We want to see some of these things really moving into a better gear forward before the summer, otherwise I suspect he will be in some difficulty.
Labour's leader rubs salt into Tory wounds.
Well, this is a very significant blow to the already damaged authority of the Prime Minister. It was because of our votes that these measures went through.
But in seemingly losing control of his party, the Prime Minister did win 4 votes to impose measures designed to protect us from the Omicron strain of COVID. Replacing isolation with daily tests for COVID contacts passed without a vote. Extending mask wearing was voted through, though 40 Tories voted against. Mandatory vaccination for NHS workers also passed with 63 Tory noes. And the most sensational rebellion was on vaccine certificates for entry to some sport and entertainment venues, with at least 98 Tory MPs voting against the Prime Minister, though the final rebel tally may be just over 100 because a few MPs say their votes weren't counted properly. Another day, more queues for the booster, and the Health Secretary begged his MPs to deliver the votes to buy time to get the vaccine into arms.
Although we don't yet have a complete picture of Omicron's severity, even if severity is significantly lower, then the much higher transmissibility of Omicron means it still has the potential to overwhelm the NHS.
Shadow Secretary of State.
And it's the opposition to the measures from the government benches that Labour sought to highlight.
In light of comments made in recent days by at least one Conservative MP comparing these measures to the situation in Germany in the 1930s, I would just say it should not be for me, as the Shadow Secretary of State, to point out that we are not living in the 1930s and the Secretary of State and his team are not Nazis.
But Tory opponents of the vaccine certificates kept up the pressure on the Health Secretary and the Prime Minister.
What about the Health Protection Agency? What Stalinist minds thought up that nomenclature? Get them out there, twisting the fear button.
Justifying our new illiberal rules on the basis that they're less authoritarian than those of other countries is truly appalling.
I do not believe that these COVID passports will prevent lockdown.
Christmas in Downing Street, government turning into something of a pantomime as the Prime Minister discovers that his enemies are, to coin that phrase, behind him. Robert Peston, News at 10.